white to mingle, and yet I was born regardless of the illegality of the act. And for me, that's something that always occupies my imagination, especially because my parents passed away when I was young. So as a result, of course, I was very angry, not only at them passing away, but at the apartheid system that denied me a proper family structure, or the family nucleus as most people around me had. So that anger, but this knowledge as well of this law-breaking, ungovernable disobedience is always something I've had, like since I was a kid. I was always in trouble at school. I was always challenging boundaries. I was always asking questions, why not? Even though these are the rules. So for me, it's like, why should I not do it? In fact, if there's a rule to be broken, I tried to break it as much as I could when I was growing up. Of course, now that I'm older, I do it with more intellectual rigor or creative strategy, because I don't want to get into too much trouble. But an example would be, for example, last year I received one of the biggest, it's a fairly big award in Europe for young artists. And I was showing there, and the proposal I'd submitted was initially accepted, and then a few weeks before I was due to travel, they told me, oh, by the way, we just realized that what you had proposed is not allowed. And this put me into a crisis, and then I thought, oh, I'm not going then. But then I thought, okay, let me go and say, okay, fine, I won't do what you say I shouldn't do, and then do it on the spot. And as a result, I got this award.
I know the kind of attention your work has attained over the past few years is the kind where people say it's not really art. How does it make you feel every time you hear people say that because your work is not canvassed or framed and hung on the walls?
Well, for me, I think this is the most interesting thing, because with the co-founding of the Collective, it was really about socio-political based ideas, activity. How can we change something in people's lives in a meaningful way, but still operating within a creative and artistic framework. Whether this framework and creativity and the art is accepted in museums or not was not the question, but we were about doing something different. And of course, this I found out later on through my research that wasn't necessarily something different. The work I was doing like 5 years ago, which in fact was seen as very groundbreaking, had been done in the 70s already. But because of the turbulence of the time and the apartheid state, a lot of these artists who were doing this kind of work were not recognized or marginalized, written out of history. So part of my artistic work is also to bring these things to the fore. So I write as well, beyond just making art, and it's a way of balancing these things as well. To say, no, even if I might seen as a groundbreaker, as someone who's at the forefront, avant-garde, changing perceptions, breaking the paradigms and shifting them, but at the same time I have to acknowledge the people who came before me. And for me, that's very, very important.
I've always wanted to ask you this, and I don't know if the medium is still as relevant to you, but what is it about Kemang Wa Lehulere and the soil?
Like I said, I was quite an ungovernable kid. I used to get into a lot of trouble with my mother and my family, so I'd get a lot of hiding and punishment. And as a result, I'd go on my own into the field across where I live, grew up, and start digging. It's just like a meditative kind of thing. And as a result, I discover handcuffs, hand grenades, a lot of other things. And these were curiosities that I guess at the time I didn't understand. But when I grew up, I began to understand that history is not things which, or history is not something that's necessarily only written in books, but to live with it on a daily basis. It's oral, it's there around us, it's in the buildings, it's in the way we speak, in the way we dress, in the way we eat, in the way we engage with each other as women, men, across race, across gender, across sexualities, across class, and all of these very many layered things, and I could go on forever. But I guess for me, the soil is I'm going there one day, you know, and it's just nice. I think soil is just a beautiful thing.
I need to know from you, when were you first aware of the Standard Bank Young Artist Award and you thought, would be interesting to get my name up there?
The first time I think was 2009 or 2008. Was when I received an invitation to attend the award ceremony. Enumlu only had got the award, but it didn't tell me, obviously. Enumlu is someone I'd met, spent time with in a workshop on performance and later in exhibition. But also his work, I would say, was the first artist who I saw performance art in a gallery museum space, because I'd been involved in theater. But when I saw his work, I was like, wow, I mean, I didn't know something like this was possible. Even today, like, he jokes, like, he says, oh, wow, I inspired you. I'm like, yes, you did inspire me, actually. So that was the first time I kind of really took the Standard Bank Young Artist Award of the Year seriously.
Yeah. Kemang Wa Lehulere, congrats and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay.